Another week and another Battlefield 5 Tides of War assignment is there for the taking. This time around you can unlock the Ross Mark III. This is a bolt action rifle for the Recon class and it's pretty good. Now before we get into that, I wanted to quickly talk about some really good quality of life improvements that have been made to BF5 kind of stealthily over the past few days, and some of this is really good stuff and it will definitely improve the gameplay flow. The first of which is being able to mirror your loadouts. One of the most frustrating things about the loadouts in BF5 was that they don't carry across between factions. If you change up your medic class to run with the ZK and then maybe change your pistol, even your grenade, play around with that setup, it's all good. But then you join another server or you switch to the other team when the next round loads, spawn back in, and your loadout was completely different because previously you were on the British side and now you're on the Axis. There really wasn't any reason for it to be that way though, because there aren't any specific weapons for certain factions only. Now though, we've been saved. Yay. There is now a loadout mirroring setting in the options, and by default it's on. And this will make your life much easier, but thankfully for those of you who enjoy having different setups for each team, you can still turn it off if you'd like to. I will absolutely be leaving this on though, because I've been caught out by this so many times. The next quality of life improvement that's been a long time coming is a brand new button in the customization screen allowing you to equip an entire cosmetic set in one go. Thank you. Let's say you've just unlocked the entire mint set for a weapon or the gold set for each of the weapon parts. You would have to go in then individually to each part of the gun and equip them. It was incredibly tedious, but now though there's a button that will allow you to equip everything from that set in one go. When you're equipping a certain part, say mint, if you hit equip set instead, it will put it on all of the gun parts that you've unlocked it for. It's a small addition, but honestly, it's a very welcome improvement. And check this out, there's now a Firestorm medal in the game. Whew, it's hotting up, I can feel it coming. I wonder if that face there means anything, but you'll get this commendation if you get 250 kills in Firestorm and 25 wins in Firestorm. Might take a while, but if you love it, you'll do it. It's just a shame that we can't really see those medals on the characters in game. I wish that we could. Now then, Ross Mark III. How do you unlock this bad boy? Well, this week it's pretty straightforward and quite easy, which is a nice change. It's usually pretty tedious. There are a couple of tricky things in here as always, and you don't have to complete all of the nodes if you don't want to. Just pick the path of least resistance is my advice. So the very first node requires you to capture, arm or disarm one objective. Pretty self-explanatory, but to be clear, you can absolutely just capture a flag and that will count towards its completion. You can get that within the first 30 seconds of a conquest match. And then it branches off to the top and you've got to deal 400 damage to planes. So what I did was just go on Fiel. There's a load of plane spawns there and just shot some planes down. Or you could hop on an AA and dish out some damage. But if you want it easy, then you can get all of this damage by just shooting at the dropping planes when you're playing airborne in Grand Operations. They're big targets, slow moving, and because you sit far back in the AA, you can easily do 400 damage in one sitting. The bottom route on the other hand, well, you've got to kill 3 enemies with either a bayonet or melee weapons. Bayonets are in this game, a bit time consuming, but does this mean that we're going to see people using the bayonet charge a lot this week? I really hope that we don't. And then after that you need to earn 3,500 objective score, which again isn't hard providing that you're pushing objectives, defending objectives and just playing your class roles such as handing out ammo if you're support or medic pouches and revives if you're playing as a medic. Simple. And this is where the path starts to split again. The top route focuses on Grand Operations, and as such you've got to score 2,000 points in Grand Ops and then win 2 Grand Operation days too. Now that's pretty time consuming, but to be clear, you only need to win 2 days, not 2 entire operations. You winning day 1 and then day 2 will complete that objective without having to win the whole thing. The bottom route on the other hand, much easier and quicker. For the first node, you need to either kill or suppress 7 enemies in one life. Now for some people this might seem out of reach, but because suppression counts, I'd recommend just getting an LMG or an MMG, and I think you should be able to do this in no time at all. After that, you just need to either capture, arm or disarm 2 objectives in one life. It's basically the same as the first node that we had, but now you just got to do it twice in one life. Again, Conquest, dead easy to do that without even taking any damage. And the last and final path before you can unlock the Ross is to capture, arm or disarm 6 objectives. Not in one life though, thankfully. And there is a bonus objective there too, as always, which is to either resupply teammates or resupply yourself from supply boxes 15 times. If you do manage to complete it, you get some extra Tides of War chapter XP. A quick tip for you, if you're struggling to get the melee kills or perhaps the 7 kills and suppressions in one life, then you can do both of these things in combined arms if you feel more comfortable. It's going to be a lot easier there. In fact, all of the assignments that just revolve around kills, headshots, being prone, can all be done in combined arms. The ones that can't are of course the ones that require a specific game mode or revolve around doing something on objectives, as combined arms doesn't technically have any. So then, onto the gun. What is the Ross like? Well, for the most part, I think it's pretty good. It's not going to blow your mind though. At the end of the day, it is a bolt action rifle, so it performs pretty similarly to a lot of the recon weapons already in the game. In terms of stats, in fact, it's remarkably similar to the Lee Enfield rifle. It's got a firing rate of 64, which can be upgraded to 75 within these specializations. So its default rate of fire is a bit faster than the Kar 98, but not overly quick. However, it does only have a 5-round capacity. So although on paper it's quite similar to the Lee Enfield rifle, it does have a much smaller capacity. I also felt as though the bullet speed was really slow on this gun, but maybe that's just me not playing recon that much recently. The 6x scope looks huge on the Ross though. It looks crazy big on a lot of the recon weapons in general, but I don't know, for some reason on the Ross it looks especially long. I do like the way the gun looks though, but it isn't much of a surprise considering we're pretty familiar with it from BF1. But there is a really cool skin for it where you've got white tarp covering the barrel. In terms of specializations, pretty straightforward to be honest with you. The left hand tree offers you quick aim so you can ADS faster, or the ability to reload your weapons 15% faster. For me, it's always going to be the ADS speed for snipers, so that's what I went with. And then you've got the custom stock that improves accuracy in aimed fire, which I went for. And then the second down on the right, you've got the slings and swivels, which will allow you to switch weapons faster and shoot sooner after sprinting. That's fine and all, but if you're playing recon less aggressively, you probably don't need that. And then I opted for the lightened stock, not that I had much choice being tied into the left hand tree, but that gives you 60% faster aiming when you're moving, so it's very good to have anyway. If you did opt for the right hand tree, then you would instead be getting the machine bolt, which lets you cycle the weapon quicker, giving it a higher rate of fire. And the last option on the left hand side is the bayonet charge, which is absolutely something that I will never select, so that's always a no-no from me. This means I switch across to the right hand side and get the variable zeroing, which at least lets you change the zeroing of the gun. I'm not going to use it that much, but maybe useful to have if I'm ever using this gun on a really long range map. Now interestingly, the assignment for next week has also given us some insight to a few more additions to the game that are quite cool. We already knew that Rush was arriving and it's been in grand operation, so that's not much of a surprise. And most of the assignment revolves around playing Rush and scoring points. So what does this get you? Well, it will grant you the Mosquito FB Mark 6 aeroplane. So it's pretty interesting because this is the first time that an assignment has granted us a new plane to check out, but that's not the most interesting thing though. Halfway through the assignment, you're required to use 5 sector artillery or smoke barrage squad reinforcements. Why is that interesting? Well, because as it stands right now, those squad leader reinforcements are not actually in the game, and we did know from previous details that the new squad reinforcements were going to make their way into the game. And from this, it seems likely that they're going to arrive before next week's Tides of War assignment, probably in the next patch. Now, the artillery squad reinforcement is going to be quite interesting because we don't know just how strong it's going to be or how much it will cost. So let's hope it's not a very frequent occurrence, because already we've got a situation where towards the end of the game there are so many V1 rockets being called in. So imagine now that it's instead a much cheaper one, but it's a flurry of artillery strikes and V1s all coming in constantly. That would be quite frustrating, especially on something like Breakthrough or Grand Ops where you're fighting over maybe 1 or 2 points. Of course, let's not worry about that all too much until we've actually had a chance to see how strong it's going to be. Come to think about it, what this might be is if you've played Combined Arms or the co-op mode, occasionally the enemies will put down a flare that's like this big puff of red smoke, and then artillery will be called in. So it could be that that is the animation and particle effects for this artillery barrage, but I'd guess that the damage might be changed for multiplayer. We'll see. The smoke barrage, on the other hand, I really like that, and I think that's a great squad reinforcement to see because it's team play based and it's quite tactical, and it could help your team push through objectives on grand operations or breakthrough, and those game modes could be significantly easier for attackers if your squad is able to mark down a decent smoke barrage over a certain area to cover its location. And that's about all for today, guys. Wrapping things up, I like the Ross, even if it doesn't exactly push the envelope and offer up anything hugely different from what was already on offer, but the thought of the new plane next week, as well as 32-player rush and the new squad call-ins, really interests me, so I'm quite looking forward to getting my hands on them next week. And that's all, guys. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you liked this video, leave a like. If you didn't, a dislike. Subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you in the next one.